Hello, everybody. It is your hostess with the mostest, Vivian Westwood. I'm Princess Diana. I'm Jean Paul Gaultier. I'm whoever I need to be sitting in this girlfriend collective jumpsuit. I'm whoever I need to be that day. And today, I'm your host, Coco. I am your host, Coco Austin, back with another amazing episode of Press and Him. This is our 10th episode. Ooh, ooh, ooh. 10 times you guys have been listening to me. Hold on. In your ear. I won't say 10 times like an episode, but hopefully you run episodes back and you save them and you tell a friend to tell a friend and then you play the episode again in front of your friend so she knows, and then you know who that girl is, which is you. Even if you're a boy, you're still that girl. You're still him. You're still her. You're non-binary. You're everybody. Okay. I hope you guys had an amazing week. It was a lot. It was a lot, and I'm into astrology. I'm not an astro girly, but yeah. Yeah, the Astro Girlies were right. The Astro Girlies were right. It's just been a hectic week. It's not the retrograde yet, so I don't want to say communication. It's just a lot going on. Like, you ever wake up and if you're not that impacted, you still feel like there's a lot going on. That's how I felt this week. There's a lot. Like, even when I was sitting down chilling, I was like, there's a lot going on somewhere. So that's a little bit hectic somewhere. I did, oh yeah, this week or last week because I was late. I usually record on Sundays and I was like, because I had family in town and they were like, please, please, please. And I said, okay. So I pushed it back until Monday. But, which is today. But last week, I remember I actually did get called in for Jersey Boys to come in as a dresser, which I did. And then also I did start a new project last week, which same place, same company, same people, same kids. It's just supposed to be a little bit smaller. We're doing 9 to 5, the musical, which I love musicals. And that's the thing I love about me is I like a lot of things. So I know the words to Mamma Mia front to back. But then JT album did just come out and it is really good. It is really good. I also started a 75 hard challenge, which is easy to keep up with during the weekday. But when that weekend hit, well, no. But let's go ahead and get into the episode. Enough about me. Let's get to talking. So, usually we start off our episodes with textile tea, which we're still going to do, but we're going to do something a little bit different. I am going to start another series of the textile tea, which is really just fabric care and clothing care, which to me is one of, if we want to be sustainable and we want to maintain our clothes more, the first thing we have to do is take care of our clothes more. So if we're being really selective with our purchases, which is what I always suggest, I think one of the biggest keys to help with sustainability is to really attack the overconsumption part of it. So only picking what you need and deciding like, you know what, I don't need a new outfit every time I go somewhere. I have that issue. I do. I have that issue and I've always had that issue. So now it just turns into I make something every time because I have that capability. I have that skill set. So I'm able to make my clothes and just rock them as normal clothes because they are normal clothes. But as a designer, I have that capability, but not a lot of people do. And when we get into thoughts of a rejected fashionista, we'll talk a little bit more about that. But for the most part, one of the major things you can do to help with sustainability is to take care of your clothes and figure out how to take care of your fabrics and all of that type of jazz. So we're going to start this series. And the very first thing we're going to hit on is denim. Denim, let's be honest, you could have a whole podcast just on denim altogether because there's that many different types of denim. But let's get into some of them. So you have raw denim, and raw denim just means that after it was dyed, after it went through a process, it was not washed. Then you have washed denim, which is essentially the opposite of raw denim. You have salvage denim, which is going to be what majority of the companies make. It's going to be salvage denim. It's high quality, and then it also has a lot of durability to it. You have bull denim, and bull denim is like 3-inch twill. But when we think of bull denim, it's so heavy, it's so tough, and so rough. I guess it's more of an upholstery fabric. So that's what you would upholstery like. That's what you would upholstery. That's not even how you use upholstery, but that's what if you wanted like a denim couch, you would use bull denim. Of course, there's acid wash denim, there's colored denim, there's poly denim, there's stretch denim, there's stone wash denim, there's so 100% cotton denim, which if you don't know, denim is from cotton, is made from cotton. So if you get 100% cotton denim, it's more natural, all that type of stuff. What else am I missing? I said salvage denim. But there's so much denim because I know I'm missing things. Oh, there's dual ring denim, over twisted denim. There's so much denim. And then also, while I'm here, I do want to solve a little myth, a little mystery. Chambray is not denim. Okay? I know sometimes when we see chambray, people are like, okay, this is a lightweight denim. I don't want to say a lightweight denim doesn't exist because it does. If it does, it's probably like a poly denim. It's probably mixed with something, blah, blah, blah. Chambray is a different weave than denim is. So technically it's not denim, right? Denim is really rough, really rough. And if we think about when we first started to get denim and when the public was allowed to wear denim and when it became access to the denim, it was rough. They were using like raw denim, which we're going to get into because I personally think raw denim is probably going to be one of the best denims that you can buy. It's more expensive. It's more expensive and it's hard to take care of, but excuse me, raw denim is amazing. But I say all that to say, chambray and denim, man, they're not the same things. It's not the same thing. Chambray, once again, is a different weave than a twill denim. Chambray is just a plain weave. The dye process and everything it goes through makes it look like it's denim and all that type of jazz, but technically it's not. If we get technical, like when people say it, I don't get mad. Like whatever. I get what you're going. It's one of those things like if I tell somebody out of town that I live in Atlanta, they'll be like, oh, okay. But if I get around somebody in Atlanta and I say that and then they ask where and I give them like, I live here, that's not Atlanta, blah, blah, blah. Well, to the person out of town it is, whatever. That's how I feel sometimes about like a fashion correction. Because I don't really correct people that often when it comes to fashion things. I'm like, you know what, you think what you want to think, whatever. But chambray isn't denim, and it's not, right? It's the same way people say that, well, no. I don't know, red velvet, maybe chocolate, I don't know. But anyway, so that is all types of denim. Let's get into how to wash and how to take care of your denim. Because one of the biggest things people talk about with denim, which is 1,000% true, is that you do not need to wash your denim as much as you wash your other clothes. So Levi's will tell you that you need to wash it every 10 wears, which I don't know. I have a difficult time taking advice or taking things like that from an actual brand where they make their money based off what they're doing. I don't know if it's completely true. So 10 wears, because I think 10 wears may be excessive. So personally, I wash my denim once a month. And this is the denim that Like, of course, everybody has their favorite pair of jeans. I wash my favorite pair of jeans once a month. You are not supposed to wash your denim every single week. Now, if there's stains on them or if there's anything like that, you can spot treat your denim. Like, we talk a lot about bacteria that grows within your denim, like most things do. And people will say, oh, well, put your denim in a freezer and the bacteria will die. But when you take your denim out of the freezer and it warms back up, the bacteria is reactivated. And it's not, I don't want to say not all bacteria is bad bacteria, because it is, but it's not a excessive amount of bacteria. It's not anything else that you wouldn't get with a normal wear within your jeans, if that makes sense. So if with that advice, people are like, okay, well, how do I remove the odor? What do I do? Once again, denim is made from cotton. And now, which goes to say, this is different advice for different pairs of denim that you're getting. When people tell you do not wash your denim, they're talking about high quality denim. If you have polyester stretch denim, the advice I'm about to give, you may want to wash that, babes. Like, you may want to wash it a little bit more. That's when you probably need that 10 wears. That's when that chimes in. You may not be able to wash your denim once a month if you have a cheaper brand of denim. Because if there's odor within your denim, the first thing you would do would just let it air dry outside, because it's cotton. It's breathable. Put some fabric spray on it. Put some smell good fabric spray on it, and you'll be fine. Spot clean it, all that type of jazz, and you'll be good. You don't have to wash your denim every time. Because what you do when you wash your denim is, one, you create tears in it. And which is why also, spoiler alert, you should never tumble dry your denim. All of your denim should be air dry. And then after it gets air dry, you steam it. If that's what you should do with your denim, that's technically what you should do. Do not put your denim in a tumble dry, because what that also does is it tears your fabrics, which is, if you've ever washed your denim consistently and then eventually you start to get little tears within your fabric, that may be because you're tumble drying it. Of course, sometimes it's within the friction of like your thighs rubbing together, and you may not, once again, have the best quality denim, but that could definitely be one of the reasons. And then, so you don't tumble dry your denim, and the same thing goes for like washing it. You don't necessarily, when you wash it, you want to take away the spin cycle, because what the spin cycle does, as well as tumble drying it, once again, it tears your denim, and then it also can stretch out the fit. Well, not stretch out, but mess up your fit. Can mess up the fit of your denim. Because one of the main points with not washing your denim is your denim is supposed to form to you. So it's supposed to form to your body, which is why when you get raw denim, it's rough, it's tough, and the more that you wear it, the more it softens up. Do you ever look at denim and we look at the thigh area and how it has those crinkles and those folds? If you have raw denim, your body is making those crinkles and those folds. So it's not already there. So it affects the fit of your denim. It looks more custom, it looks more tailored, and it just fits your body better. Which is why raw denim is going to be the best. It's basically just customizing denim, and that's why raw denim is also the most expensive. But that's just customizing your denim. But that's why you don't wash it, and why we try to wash it as far apart as we possibly can, because one, denim just doesn't need that, and two, the more that you wash it, the more it changes the wear of it. So you're going to look, slowly your jeans are going to start looking different, which may be why you run through jeans quickly and really fast. So another thing, I already talked about never drying your denim, and then making sure if you are drying them, you are you air dry it. I'm sorry, never tumble dry your denim. Of course, it's going to need to be dry. But some other key things taking care of your denim is, before you wash it, one, turn them inside out. You don't want your color to fade. You don't want anything to affect that color, which is another reason why you don't put on that spin cycle. But pre-treat your stains. So before you put your denim in the washer, no spin cycle. Make sure you just treat those stains before you get there. So if there's blood in your denim or anything like that, just get some. For blood, get some. What's it start with? Peroxide? Is that what I'm thinking of? It starts with a P. Peroxide. Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking of. Peroxide. Peroxide, whether it be old, whether it be fresh blood, peroxide, a little bit of water, toothbrush, and get that blood up out of there. So pre-treat your stains before you put them in there, so you're not running it and running it and running it, trying to get this one stain out. Also with raw denim, if you do have raw denim, it may be best to hand wash it. Sometimes hand washing your clothes is the best method. You're gonna hear me say that a lot during this period of like us talking, and you're like, Korea, do you hand wash your clothes? I do. Like, there's some athletic wear, stretch clothes for example. I don't have any stretch in them, but stretch clothes for example, if it has a less stain in it, you do not need to dry that. Like, do not put that in the dryer. But that's beside that point. We're not talking about that. But so yeah, when you're using denim, if you use raw denim, try to hand wash it. Besides that, no fabric softener, of course, on your denim. And I think that is pretty much it to take care of your denim. And like I said, one of the main reasons, we are doing this, or I'm talking about this, is so you understand how to make your clothes last longer. That's how you become more sustainable without making very drastic steps because I believe one step at a time. So the very first thing is you only buy clothes that you really want. And then two, you take care of those clothes. And there's a reason why we can still shop vintage clothes to this day and they still last. I often think about the girl that went online and was selling vintage Charlotte Russe. Vintage fashion brands? Let's bring it down a notch. But moving on, now we are in our segment where we talk about our party fashion notes. And one of the biggest things that is on everybody's mind this week has been Bella Hadid and Adidas. So let's talk about it. So let's backtrack. Bella Hadid, who is Palestinian, pro-Palestine, for literally like ever, since what's happening in Gaza has started happening within this new age. Because you do not know, Palestine and Israel, they've been going back and forth for a very, very, very long time about whose land is it and blah, blah, blah. So, but they've always been beefing. They have always been beefing. But within this recent thing that's been going on in Gaza, Bella Hadid has always spoken out about it. Like, always. So, let's track what happened. The first thing Adidas did was Bella Hadid is the face of Adidas for a new sneaker that will be launching during the Olympics. It is the SL72 sports sneaker. And she launched it. She was the face behind it. She was the brand ambassador for it during this Olympic time. Now, if we go all the way back to 1972, there was a massacre. And Palestinians essentially attacked Israel's Olympic team. They kidnapped I think they kidnapped everybody. I could be wrong, but they kidnapped held hostage around 9 people, and then 11 Israelites. No, they're Israelites. People from Israel died. I don't think Israelite is the word for them. I don't know. But anyway, 11 died, and now we backtrack. Now we come forward into now. The Jewish organizations uprise against Adidas and was like, essentially, how could you? She's pro-Palestine and she's Palestinian at the same time. And you guys are uplifting her and her cause, and you're reminding me of this massacre that happened in 72. How could you, Adidas? And Adidas said, hold on. We didn't mean to do it. And Adidas then pulled everything. They issued an apology, and the second thing they did was they pulled Bella Hadid's campaign. Now, let's move forward. Everybody is currently upset because one, Bella Hadid is the reason right now that Sambas are back. And that is a bold statement. That is a bold statement. And it's because if we look at her street style, she's wearing Sambas all of the time. And she is one of the factors that brought it back. Now, is she the factor for me? No. But she is the factor for a lot of people, which I do understand. She did bring the Sambas into the new age and make them a very culturally popular, not culturally, mainstream popular shoe. That is Bella Hadid. That is what she did. So, people are like, Adidas, what are we talking about? She's been Palestinian, and she's been pro-Palestine this whole time. Which makes you come into question of how can you just pull the campaign, right? How can we, this is not a political podcast, and I do not want to make it one. My husband has a political podcast. If you want to go listen to that, listen to Blind Spots, because I'm just like, listen, do not get me started. Please, I don't want to get started, but that's the uproar, and that is what's going on right now. So the community is basically on Bella Hadid's side, and they're like, Adidas, we will literally boycott you. Like, what are you talking about? Because everybody concedes to the notion of not wanting to be anti-Semitic, which is okay, but what does that actually look like? What does that actually look like? And what's the precedent that essentially is being set when every time it's like, okay, we're going to pull it? Especially, so now all Palestinians just can't be the face of anything? Is that what we're going towards? Because how would you be upset if I just support my brothers and sisters in combat? What are we talking about? Like, what are we talking about? And I think, isn't Adidas German? The German brand? How about that side of me thinks that Adidas is a German-made brand? Which is another thing, and I'm like, I got another problem going on. But I think they are. I could be wrong. Hold on, let me look that up. But I'm not gonna look that up. Because, I'm not gonna do that. But I'm pretty sure they're a German brand. If I'm wrong, I'll correct myself, but I'm pretty sure. So that's currently what's going on. And people are saying boycott Adidas, boycott Sambas, which, quite frankly, the Sambas were already, I don't want to say starting to hit their height. I don't want to say that. But people were already slowly being like, oh, Sambas aren't cool, Sambas are this, Sambas are that. I already started to see that. Which also, quick thought. Now, and this is neither here nor there, but when we see one supermodel, one of the biggest supermodels, wear one shoe consistently out in her street style, do we not think she's getting paid for that? That may not mean anything right now, which it probably doesn't. But when people have said, oh, she made Sambas cool again, babe, I think that was the point. I think Adidas paid her to do that. I definitely think that. So she may just honestly like the shoe, but she may have been the brand ambassador long before she did the shoe for the Olympics, which may be a bigger uproar because it's one of those things where you knew what she was about when you entered with her. And now all of a sudden other people are calling you out. I don't know. You don't want to stand 10 toes in it and just be like, listen, that's not what we aim to do. Our apologies, but we're still going to keep this up though. Like I'm going to stand beside her. But who am I? And what do I know? Another thing that people are talking about is the creative director of Tom Ford, Peter Hawkins, is out. And when I first saw this, I was like, Did he just get there? Like, didn't Tom Ford just leave? And then I was reminded, no, it was a year ago that Estee Lauder took over. I was like, okay, I know something just happened with Tom Ford. And I remember he had that big collection that was all his archives. Like his last collection was all of his archives and him referencing himself essentially over the years. But yes, so Peter Hawkins has been there for a while. And now a year after Estee Lauder has taken over, he has been exited, which interesting. Because usually when companies take over, they either take over and slash everybody and do something completely new, or they take over and then it's like, we're just here to give you distribution, essentially. That's how we can help you. We can distribute your stuff to more people, blah, blah, blah. And it seems like after a year, they say, okay, they may be the first one. They may come in and just try to change up everything. So we'll see what happens. That and honestly, that Estee Lauder thing reminds me of Supreme just got bought out, $1.5 billion in cash. You hear that? $1.5 billion in cash. Not no check. Not no I owe you. Not in installments. Cash. Cash money. $1.5 billion Supreme was bought out for by the same company that owns Ray-Bans and Oakley. So, don't know how that's going to work out. It seems like Supreme is in the hole now. What do you mean? The same? What could you possibly do with Supremes and you own Ray-Bans and Oakley? Oakley. The surfing... And you own Supremes? Supremes? Whew, we can go ahead and count them out, you guys. We'll see what happens. But I mean, for $1.5 billion in cash, I may make that move too. If I was the owner of LeBron, I may be like, you know what? I am going to be out. Which makes me think of when people own brands and when you start a business, they always say your first thing you should think about is long game. So are you doing all of this to sell your brand, or are you doing all of this to pass it down and blah, blah, blah? That's what a lot of people say. A lot of people talk about when you start your brand. So if you are starting your own brand, think about that. Another thing that happens, we're so proud to see. I love it. The Cut in September will have their first print standalone issue, which is always so great to see. I am a physical media girly. So with what just happened, IT just shut down on Monday or something like that. With all that shutting down, I hope with technology shutting down, Microsoft, you couldn't get on it, airplanes couldn't go anywhere. I hope we learn two things. One, none of this is real, and it could close at any minute. So do what you want to do, whatever you want to do, just do it because it's all fake. Two, physical media. Get a physical document of everything. Physical documentation. You should not be living your life as digitally anymore. No. Get a physical copy of everything. As I say this and look at this camera, I'm like, maybe I want transcripts of all of my episodes to put them in a binder. Because when I had Black Flash, I did that. And I would put all the articles I've ever written. And I used to write articles for a fashion magazine. And it makes me so upset I don't have those articles anymore. They were all digital and I did not print them off and save them for myself. So if I wanted to apply to something else, or if I wanted to do something else, I actually had those copies and I don't anymore. So that's like I hate that so much for myself. But yes, it's always nice to see when people put it back into physical media because I love physical media. Another thing that's going on right now with Adidas, because one thing about Adidas, they are going to fight Tom Brown to the death of them. To the death of them. Adidas is going to beef with Tom Brown every single second. Adidas, just imagine, Adidas the logo. Eyes open up, where's Tom Brown at? Where is Tom Brown? What is he doing? What do they have going on? We got beef. Tom Brown and Adidas are the best examples of it's on site when I see you. It is on site when I see. Now, why Adidas literally, I think it was either last year, the year before that, but Adidas in the US was trying to trademark their three stripes. And if you know Tom Brown uses three stripes. Now, I believe Adidas is wrong because Tom Brown does use those three stripes in a different fashion than Adidas does. But altogether, Adidas is trying to trademark those three stripes. And what is Tom Brown without his three stripes? Like, what are we talking about here? And they look completely different. Like, Tom Browns are always red, blue, and white. Excuse me. And if they're, but that's his color. Those are his colors. So I don't, whatever. But so anyway, Adidas prosecuted or tried to trademark those three stripes in the U.S. against Tom Brown, lost, then appealed it, and the appeal was like, no, baby, the first one was right. Lost again, and now they're in the U.K. beefing. Adidas then brought the case to the UK and was like, okay, well, we're going to trademark it over here. We'll see what happens, but I think they're going to lose. I don't know why. I mean, I guess I know why. They're trying to take those three stripes. But I'm like, Adidas, let's calm down. Tom Brown uses it in a different way, a different formula, and I promise you. Because one of the things with trademarking or copywriting is that a lot of people talk about is that one of the main reasons is that because you did this, it took away from my sales. So, dupes. Because dupe culture is, I cannot wait to see the pendulum turn from dupe culture. I literally cannot wait to do it. But because, for example, you could sue somebody for dupe culture, which is currently, so France right now with the Olympics coming to their town, coming to where they act, they're currently trying to lock down more of the dupes that they are seeing and like really go for that black market, because dupes is black market. I think that's the point that people don't understand. Dupes is black market. It makes me think about when we used to burn CDs. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that was a little illegal. But people weren't in sweatshops. But that was a little illegal, babes. Alarm wire? Ooh. We went to jail over that. Well, we didn't. But these dupe people, they're a different threat. And I'm not participating in that, so it's different. Dang, that black market, that's a whole different thing. But essentially, that's what people sue for when it comes to trademark, when it comes to copyright. When you take people to court, it's like, hey, people didn't buy what I was selling because of what you had going on. Which brings me back to Adidas. Bang. Versus Tom Brown. Girl, you are good. Okay? You are good. I promise you. I promise you. Whoever was buying Tom Brown didn't then go to Adidas or didn't look at Adidas and say, I think it's cheaper at Tom Brown. I'm gonna go ahead and get it over there. That's not what happened, man. That's not what happened. I do not know if that's their case. It's probably not their case. All jokes, but that's what a lot of people talk about when they go to court and when they sue somebody and all that type of jazz. And they're currently suing Tom Brown in the UK, so we'll see how that happens. Another great thing that happened this week, Lewis Hamilton, which is Dior. So you know how I feel about Dior. Lewis Hamilton was named the Dior ambassador. This October, he will be releasing a joint collab collection. So we'll see what that is. When I saw this, I saw some looks attached to it. And maybe I'm being crazy, but I couldn't find them online. Like, it was a surprise drop, and then they already dropped them. But it's not, from what I also researched, it's not supposed to be here until October. So we'll see what happens then. And then to end off our party fashion notes, the CFDA has dropped the New York Fashion Week schedule. So go look at it. Go look at the designers. I think it's like 60, of course. But go look at days and what's going on and what's happening. Literally, every fashion week, my 9 to 5 calls me in. And I try to be like, you know what? This week, I'm done. I'm taking off. I'm doing straightly New York Fashion Week coverage. And I still am. This is a tip episode, guys. And if you're still listening, go ahead and follow us on Instagram. Yeah. Press and Pins on Instagram. Follow us. Follow us. Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, all that jazz. Follow us right now. Okay? Period. Thoughts of a rejected fashionista. This is the part of the episode where I just give fashion advice to anybody who writes in. Please write in to press and pins at fibers.com. Once again, press and pins at fibers.com. For this episode, it's really simple and really easy. I do not want to start a rant, but somebody wrote in and just talked about how when they buy their clothing, their straps are always like, falling off. And this is why I don't want to rant. Let me time check myself. Okay, perfect. You guys, pick up a needle and thread. Pick it up. Pick up a needle and thread. Go to your grandma's house. Go in that random drawer full of everything. Open it. Pick up a needle and thread and mend your clothes. Mend your clothes. Now, the reason I say that, because I know not everybody can sew. It's a skill that you can definitely learn. And the reason that I say that is you need to know, if you cannot afford a tailor, which not everybody can. I am privileged enough to know how to sew, so I could tailor my own clothes. And I could tailor people that is around me. And I think about that. I do have my mother's clothes that I need to tailor. I was thinking about that. Maybe I should listen to my other thoughts of rejected fashionista and said no. But anyway, you tailor your clothes so they look best on you. When you go buy clothes at a store, they are not just made for you. They are made for any and everybody who is a size medium. And size mediums look different. Bodies look different. Therefore, you need to make sure your clothes fit you the best that they can, which you have to learn certain small tips and tricks to sew and to mend your clothes. I say all that to say, follow Press and Pins on Instagram, because we may be doing a little series about it. I don't know. I have no idea. But we may pick up a needle and thread and teach you how to do a quick little zigzag, quick little one and then back through, one and then back through, tie it, and then you're done. I don't know. We may do that, we may not. I don't know. I would follow Press and Pins on Instagram though and figure that one out. I don't know. And now we're going to move into our main topic, which is design decoding. Last episode we talked about the 70s. In this episode we will be talking about the 80s, which I'm really excited about. I'm currently working on something in the 80s and I just got finished with something in the 80s, so I know all about it. Okay, timeline. What's happening? In 81 we have MTV. Excuse me, hold on. Excuse me. In 81, we have MTV being born. We have Dynasty being born, which are really the two things that sort of dictate where fashion takes place. We have Jean-Paul Gaultier, who drops the signature corset, which Madonna, the bullet bra, which Madonna will later wear in the 1990s. We have Madonna, we have Donna Karan going international. In 85, this is when Madonna, she stars in Desperately Seeking Susan. And this is when Madonna's style really becomes the iconic 80s girl that when we think 80s, you automatically go to Madonna. You automatically go to fishnets, tulle, bows, bold accessories, layering, fanny packs, that rocker chic that Madonna had. That's what you think of when you think of 80s. The 80s are for the rockers. It truly, truly is, and it truly, truly was. We also in '88 we have Anna Wintour, who is now editor in chief of Vogue in '88. We also have, which is really interesting, we also have Zara in '88, which starts becoming international, which starts fast fashion. This is why I feel like our pendulum is starting to swing back. '88. This is when fast fashion is starting to become what it is. Zara is now not just national, it's international. So now they're starting to get stores in the US where people love to over consume. The Americans. They start to go over there. Which of course, like I said, it starts to signal this. It's not fully in we're not in the trenches of it. But it's like that toddler that's starting to walk. They're like, okay, I understand the way this works. We also have in '89 Prada launches their women's wear, ready to wear, which brings them to the forefront. In '90, that's when I said we had Madonna wearing that bra. And then also in the '90s is when we have the age of the supermodel starting to happen. So if we think rocker chic, we think Madonna, we think those vests, we think Tool, we think all of that. The next thing we need to think of is shoulder pads. Them girls in them '80s, they didn't play about their shoulder pads at all. They didn't play. They didn't play. They didn't play. I think in the '50s, I talked about how we have more of those rounded shoulder pads, and when we get to the '80s, is when we have those square power suits. This is women are fully in the workforce now. And with that being said, you take a little bit of what these men have. So in the '70s, we had power suits, but now we have extreme power suits. We got shoulder pads, babes. That's how them, that's how them shoulder pads look. Oh, this is a better. Boom, boom. Like, them shoulder pads were stiff. And they were strong. And they almost cut you if you walk too fast. So we have the shoulder pads. And this is also during the '80s is when we have a lot of oversized fashion. Let's look at what we were doing in the '70s, and that will usually predict what's going on in the '80s. Another thing that was going on in the '70s is we have this whole anti-fashion movement, which now anytime somebody talks about the hippies, I always think about it's literally just because they went against the grain. That's literally it. Hippies were anti-fashion, anti-establishment, anti-everything. We need some more hippies. But this is also in the '80s where you see designers become beloved. Like, oh my gosh. So now this is the '80s when we see that marketing as you're not only buying the designer's clothes, but you're buying into the designer's personality. Right at the bridge of the supermodel era beginning and the supermodel, like, oh my gosh, this is the moment where in the '90s, the supermodels ruled everything. This is when we start to actually know their names and we start to blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, right before that is when we start to care about designers, which makes sense to me because now we care about the muses that they use. So attached to this is Vivienne Westwood's personality. I love the way she talks and her morals and her values as well as her fashion. But this is her muse. So I think that when we start to see them care about designers, we start to dig a little bit deeper and they care about their models as well. So with that being said, another way, besides shoulder pads, another way to identify the '80s is, are they dripped in designer? Are they even talking about their designer right now? If we're watching an '80s movie, are they having a full-fledged conversation about, oh, this is Vivienne Westwood, this is this and then the third? Because in the '70s, they didn't care about that. In the '60s, they didn't care about that. In the '50s, they didn't necessarily care about that. So if we see more name dropping, we may be in the '80s mixed with shoulder pads. And I mean this from the thought of it's more than just socialites. It's the regular everyday people. This is also when we see a lot of knockoffs start to happen, which, I mean, you see that in the '70s too. You've always seen like this triangle. You've always seen the fashion slowly make its way slowly make its way down from like this used to be kings and queens, but let's say these are like celebrities. You've always seen it make its way down to the poor people. It's just how long is that has that trend, or how's it gotten down to the lowest of the lowest totem pole in society? I have I'm using my fingers to do these little, I can't even think, quotes. Yeah, like, the poorest of the poor and blah blah blah. That's that's when we also start to see this, and we start to see them do that. So besides some of the things we talked about, like fishnets, oversized clothing is another way that you can think of it. That you can refer to the 80s shoulder pads. And this is also when we see the rise of style tribes. So we've always had the style tribes before within the last decades, but in the 80s is when they really start to take a hold. And now you have, I want to say this because now you have the technology behind you. You have the TV behind you. So you have MTV that's now showing you all the different ways that these people dress. And then technology and TV are really the two things that I feel like start to dictate and why people really start to grasp at style tribes. And what style tribes is, it's ballerina core, croquet, like golf. That's all that style tribes are. Like that's literally it. But they had a bigger sense than they do now. They were more purposeful. They were more meaningful. They were more about pulling community together. So these people have like ideas. They have the same music taste. They have the same everything. And it's not just every day. It's, oh, this is rich core. This is what you should do to look rich. It's different. It was based in a community and based in a feeling versus it just now it just feels so superficial and so flat. And so I'm just trying to be an influencer and I'm just trying to have this say within these groups. Like it's more like that versus people really committing to each other and wanting to be together in a sense. So then, just to name a few, we have Fly Girls. Fly Girls are going to be the black, well, not, they just mainstream from hip hop, which also really helped contemporary men's fashion. Fly Girls and the hip hop culture in general really helped push contemporary menswear in general to what it looks like today and even back then. This is when you get the sneakers, the big gold jewelry, the oversized jackets. Another thing would be Ant Mania. There was a person named Adam Ant was a rock star, and then we matched that with Vivienne Westwood. So if you were a part of the Ant Mania crew, those were your two idols. But each of these groups had two different people. Usually it was men, and then women came nice behind, patriarchy. That really inspired them how to dress and really was a part of the group. So we go with Gloss Glamour, and Gloss Glamour we started from a London club. We have those mode styles, we had them in the 60s, and this group just reemerged with really slim cut suits and those little fedoras, porcupine hats they used to call them. And then in menswear in the 80s is when we start to experience yuppies. And this, to me, I hate to be the one to say it, the 80s is when menswear gets stale. And because if we look past the 80s, if we look at the 70s and the 60s and we go back to those episodes, men were experimenting. Men were experimenting. They were trying different silhouettes. They were wearing heels. They were doing all of this. And then we have the yuppies come, and this is when they're hitting Wall Street. These are our finance bros back in the day. And everybody not wants to emulate this, but this structure of male dominance and this is how men should dress. If we think yuppies, think American Psycho, right? The red, yellow ties, the contrasting collars, the three-piece suits. They were fresh, don't get it mistaken. But after this is when I feel like the optimism that menswear had starts to decline, when we start to get this even stroke until men start to experiment more. The 80s is also when we see Japanese fashion come to height. So let's think Yaji Yamamoto. Yes, think Issey Miyake, Comme des Garçons. This is when we start to see Japanese fashion start to not only make its way over here to the US, but become more prevalent and become a bigger name and a bigger deal because they're experimenting. We look at Japanese fashion versus the 80s fashion in the rest of the world of what's going on, and the Japanese are being more daring. They're deciding what they want to do, and they're playing with silhouettes, and they're playing with all these different type of things. So then, just to name a couple key players, we have Vivienne Westwood, Jean Paul Gaultier, Terry Mugler, Comme des Garçons, and then we also have Princess Diana. So that is 80s fashion for you guys. Thank you guys so much for joining the 10th episode of Press and Pins. And this is Coco out, and that's it. Toodles. Have a great day designing.